and welcome back to a new edition of Gas It Out. Alongside me, as always, to review the Hungarian Grand Prix, we've got Neil Hodgson. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Gavin. Nice to see you again.
It's been a long, long time. And actually, someone we haven't seen for a while, who is a little bit under the weather after his exploits at Spa at the weekend in the World Endurance Championship. Sylvain Gintoli, how on earth are you, Sylvain?
Well, I've had better day, Gav. Better days. A big off in Spa, and I've lost my voice as well, just to add it up. So
I
I've
mean,
got myself a
there's pros
nice
and
cup of
cons.
tea. I've got a nice cup of tea with lemon and honey, and then a lot of bandages as well. Which, it was
Oh,
a big one. So it looks like, fortunately, I've escaped without any big injuries, as in like fractures. But a big one, about
what
150 mile an hour crash. So.
what happened then? What happened? Because we'd heard that there'd been a little spill early on, but then you decided that wasn't enough for you. You decided you wanted a big one.
Yeah, basically that's it. No, the first one was my doing. It was a tiny one, rider error. But that one was fine. The second one was the one that hurt. Was I got tangled with some back markers, unfortunately, and he didn't see me or whatever. Shut the line, and we had a big coming together. So yeah, it was a fast one. Anybody that's been at Spa, we crashed in Blanchimont, which is the very fast part, the bit where you don't want to come off. So I think we're both quite lucky to escape relatively, unscathed.
I spoke to the guy that you hit. He's not happy at all. I'm
He's
just
not
saying.
happy, actually. He's
I
not.
mean,
He's tried to blame me for it, which I wasn't having it. So we just agreed to disagree. And actually, I had to go to the stewards and
all right,
review
bloody hell.
all the images. Yeah, to just to show them that it wasn't a rather error, and that it was unfortunate. So yeah, the stewards agreed with me, which was good. But the guy is still not happy. He's still not having it. So anyway, it's what it is. Sometimes it just happens. And like I said, I'm just happy that we're both not too hurt. So
Yeah, a few bruises to show for it. Well, hopefully you feel better soon. You've got a cold as well. Apologise for
yeah,
Sylvain's voice. Apologise. I've got my mic back, but I do apologise if there's any drilling in the background because from the blue tint, that's because they are the scaffold and all that around in my office. So you might, if you hear the odd drill, I am sorry. It's never perfect, is it? The audio. We try our level best, don't we, to get things right every single time. But there's always something. If it's not me losing my passport, at least I made it home. That was the other side of it for me from the Hungarian Grand Prix. I was quite pleased because I didn't enjoy it. I'll be honest. I didn't enjoy. I enjoyed the outcome of the weekend in that Marc Marquez looks like he's back, looks like he adds another level to the championship. But our second visit, Neil, and maybe I speak to you first about it, just as a global feel of the weekend. We did a piece, didn't we, before the race on Sunday morning, and it's the weirdest time. We usually go to a first corner or we go to a pinch point on the track. Last corner in Thailand. Wow, you go there and there's like 30,000 fans in a stand on one side. There's massive amounts of heaving hospitality on the other grandstands full. And we go to Jerez and we're in the stadium section. And yet we went there and it was sad. It was sad, wasn't it?
Well, it didn't feel like a proper international event, did it? It didn't feel like you were at somewhere that was cool and you wanted to be. We genuinely, what was it? 5 minutes before the start of the MotoGP race, we stood at turn one and we could see two big grandstands. And in both of them, let's say if they could hold 5,000, there was probably 60 people in both of them. And then there was no one stood around the first two corners. It was bizarre. It was quiet. Like I said, no atmosphere. And that's before we even start to talk about the worst track I've ever ridden around. Like, I'm 52 years old. I've ridden around so many tracks, hundreds of tracks all around the world. But this is the worst. I was thinking of UK tracks that I could try and compare it against. But the only one I really thought about when I first started racing, I raced at a place called Elvington, which was up north. and it was basically an airfield, and you race in and out of cones. And that was almost the equivalent of the track. And to put it into perspective, I did a lap on the BMW. Sylvain, can you believe this? Out of 17 corners, 10 of them were first gear. I mean, we've just come from Mugello where there isn't a first gear corner. We're going to Brno next. There's not one first gear corner. It's the track's appalling. They'd resurfaced turn 1 and turn 6 2 weeks ago. So they were essentially like sheet ice, which actually played a part in the crash we'll talk about at some point. I mean, just weird. I think the only positive is Gav, it appears like we're not going back. Is that right?
That's the talk at the moment. Yeah. The idea was that it would be a stopgap until the Hungaroring was ready. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. That's all in the air. That depends on government. There's been a big governmental shift, of course, in Hungary. People might be well aware of that. And the Hungarian Grand Prix was part of one of the vanity projects, shall we say, of the previous administration. Whether the new government, who are trying to essentially differentiate themselves from the previous administration, so whether they find the money to be able to make because Hungaroring would be great. It would be. It's a fantastic venue, and racing in Hungary, no problem with that. In fact, we stayed in a beautiful little village. A couple of the villages around the lake are gorgeous, and it's just the people didn't turn up. There didn't seem to be an appetite for it. I know tickets only went on sale fairly recently. I know there was zero promotion, again, because there were no funds available. So yeah, it's just disappointing when there is a passion in that part of the world. There's a passion in Central Europe. We've seen it with what Brno's like and what Sachsenring's like and what the Austrian Grand Prix. It probably doesn't help that Czech Republic's coming up in 2 weeks. Look, we did our best over the weekend to try and enjoy what we had, but it got to a point, didn't it? And when on race day you were seeing grandstands that's
an exaggerate. They're exaggerated shots, as in
but that's the best. You can look at how many empty seats there are on the footage. That was the best grandstand there was.
Yeah, and what they've done is they've painted the seats so it almost looks like people. Like when you really look at that grandstand, like you say, that's 50% full, but that's the busiest spot.
That's the busiest spot.
Then you looked at these other massive grandstands with like 6 people in it. It was it just a shame, really. Just a shame.
Yeah, I didn't have any photos of those, but anyway. A reminder that we are not only on audio versions, if you're listening to us through your podcast provider, be that Apple, be that Google, be that whoever, Spotify. I know a lot of people do listen on Spotify. We're also available in video format on YouTube. And a reminder that you can also get in touch with us at Gas It Out Pod on Instagram, the QR code for those watching on the screen. If you want to interact with us on there or on YouTube, we love hearing your comments. We'll try and get through some questions next week. So at Gas It Out Pod is who you need to get in contact with us.
I forgot to add as well. We had 4, because the sprint race was awful. Really.
Yeah.
We had 3 on Sunday average races. We were lucky with the head-to-head with Pedro and Marc for those 2 laps. But really, it was. I mean, I've never seen such a boring Moto 3 race. But again, that's the nature of the track.
It's just what the track does. Yeah, for anyone who didn't know the results or hadn't seen it, I mean, it'd be interesting that you're listening to this podcast without having seen the results. I wouldn't want to spoil it for you, but I'll only get told off for it, as I tend to do. Marc Marquez won out in the end. He did the double, started from pole. That involved the crash during qualifying, but it was battles with Pedro Acosta on Sunday that really lit the whole show up. On the Saturday, he pushed hard in the early laps, escaped, it gapped. The gaps between them were 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds on to Saturday. And it was more of the same really on Sunday. There was a battle at mid-race between Marc and Pedro. It lasted a couple of laps. It was great. It lit it up. But apart from that, a little bit of Jack Miller trying to hold off. Apart from that, the racing was very, very bang average. And same in Moto 2, Manuel Gonzalez dominating to beat Philippe Salach in a similar kind of way as Marc did to Pedro Acosta. And in Moto 3, Max Quiles, same again with David Almanza, got through and then gapped. Sylvain, you were watching from afar. What did it feel like from you watching the broadcast?
Well, I mean, after listening all this, all we need is a rope, innit? We just, it was, It sounded like it doesn't sound like you had a good weekend, guys. I was watching there, and I did feel a bit sorry for you guys. I mean, when I watched Neil's on board, and I was thinking, you're going Neil, and another first gear corner, and now we're going into that section where first gear corner. I thought it was really funny, and then it started raining as well in your lap, didn't it?
Yeah,
Just made
yeah.
it worse. I thought it was a good effort by the team. You could tell that everybody was, really, really feeling the lack of, especially with the contrast with Mugello, the lack of atmosphere, the track that is, very, very basic. But everybody tried to sort of address that without putting it down too much, and
No.
and that's where that's where you could tell the team is really like professional and working well together. It was a bit of a rescue mission for you guys, wasn't it? Because, like I said, the races weren't that good. I mean, if you think of last year, do you remember that last year the races were actually really good, Moto3,
Yeah.
Moto2, and MotoGP. So obviously the show got ruined a little bit on Sunday because of that crash with Martin making that mistake at turn 1. There's that as well. But yeah, I felt a bit sorry for you. And when I saw they did just before the race, I don't know why they did that, but they did MotoGP did a helicopter view of the whole thing, and you could see the parkings that were empty and the grandstands all empty everywhere. I thought, wow, that doesn't look good. So yeah, hopefully we go to Hungaroring, and we'll be a lot closer to Budapest, and maybe there can be more people there. But yeah, we know it's a terrible track, isn't it? And when you come from Mugello and you're about to go to Brno, it's it just makes you feel like you can't wait to go home on a Sunday night, don't you? That said, though, really interesting. I mean, the fight with Acosta Marquez, that was brilliant. I mean, obviously Acosta was, his rear tire was going, and you could see that he couldn't fight. He was going to get beaten, but he did not let anything go. So that was great to see him fight like that. And obviously Marc outscoring everybody by a lot and making a massive jump at the championship. That is exciting for what's about to come up. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And I love that, Neil, you said a couple of rounds ago, you said, oh no, Marc's got no chance now. He's got to have surgery. I've got no hopes for him anymore. I mean, you really, the biggest Marc Marquez fan ever.
Not only that, Sylvain.
I love it.
Not
it's
only
recorded
that,
as well. So
not only that, which I did a week ago, we had a bet on between Martin and Bezzecchi who's going to win this championship, and I'm like, it's Martin's got this definitely, and you're Bezzecchi. You like, no, I'm Bezzecchi.
None of them.
So
we're both wrong.
We
on
bet
that one.
£100 on that. We both lost that because Gav's going for Marc Marquez, and he's 72 points down now. So no, you couldn't have made it up, could you? Really? I mean, we all thought Marc would go better, didn't we, at Balaton? Anti-clockwise track, less physical than Mugello. What he was saying was the shoulder was definitely better after the surgery, but he probably won't have the full strength and fitness, certainly for the Sunday's race, as he obviously kept his cards close to his chest. But I don't think... I thought he'd win the sprint, to be honest, and I thought maybe the main race will be difficult, but we were completely wrong. He absolutely destroyed him, didn't he? Really? I mean, Pedro doesn't stand a chance because he's battling on a bike that's not won for 4 years. He's 23 seconds in front of his teammate. That's mental. That's a number that should never happen. But so he's overriding his package. So yeah.
Well, look, let's flip this podcast. We've had that negative part. We had to get it off our chest. We've been holding it in because obviously you don't want to put down a venue. You don't want to put down something when you're there. You don't want to transmit that to people at home. But honestly, the feeling was so strange at the weekend because it just didn't feel right. You mentioned the helicopter, Sylvain. What that showed me, apart from the empty fields where there should have been cars or bikes parked, hardly anyone on a bike as well. I will point that out, turning up at the racetrack. What it showed me was you had a massive field that you could have worked with, that you could have put more of a better track in there. There's like a whole 3 times the size of the footprint of the track that they had for fields that they clearly own, because it's where they've got all public areas and all this. They could have put an even better racetrack with a blank canvas like that. Anyway, by the by, it's a very flat part of the world. You're not going to get much elevation change, but Assen seems to do all right with a fairly flat landscape. But let's flip it. It's a landmark moment, isn't it, in the sport? 16 years on for Marc Marquez's first Grand Prix victory in the 125s that he took at Mugello. He's won again in Grand Prix racing. It's 100 now for his career. 266 days after his last one. And again, when he won that last one, he had that run, of course, of 7 wins. His brother beat him at Barcelona. And then he won again at San Marino at Misano. And at that point, we're thinking, well, how many more is he going to take this season? In the end, it was 0 because he was taken out in Indonesia. And obviously his teammate won in Japan, and then he was taken out in Indonesia. And then since then, we've actually wondered, is it ever going to happen again? Is he ever going to do it? And Neil, you mentioned it there actually about the kidology, about his arm. He basically used Mugello as a kind of warm-up, like a kind of stretching session to get himself in a position where at a track that he knew was going to be favourable to him, because his right hand side is still sore. And not just in pain, but I mean in terms of muscle strength and this kind of thing. So he knew going to a left-hand circuit, it was going to be the most favourable he had. And a month on from surgery, he comes back, and the manner of his victory in the sprint, the manner of his victory in the race, they were contrasting. He went off hard in the sprint. In the main race, he was calculated to use the medium tyre and then came back and had to fight hard with a scrapper in Pedro Acosta. It was a measure of the man, wasn't it? There's a weekend.
Well, it was classic Marc Marquez doing things that he shouldn't really be doing. Clearly the strongest Ducati rider by miles when you saw where everybody else finished. Fully in control. It was Marquez of old, wasn't it? He didn't, apart from like the Friday, we saw him doing these on and off laps, and he said that he had to do that. So he'd do one flying lap, one slow lap, one flying lap. And
we saw
all
it
that
out
was
on track.
We saw it.
We were both
yeah,
out at different times. I went in the morning,
Exactly.
you were in the afternoon, and we both said, it's really strange. He just keeps running off at turn 1 and just sort of like Tobying around.
Yeah, and at that point, you're thinking, he's definitely not strong enough. What's happening is he's doing a lap, and then he's literally having to get his breath back because he's having to force it because he's essentially riding with one arm. But that wasn't the case. He was keeping his battery levels sort of up at around 80%. He wasn't draining himself, which was obviously really clever, typical Mark, weren't it? So obviously the big question now, the way I was thinking is, was it just the circumstances? Was it a heavy braking track, which is amazing, an anti-clockwise track, a quirky, slippy track? I mean, if you're designing a track for Mark, that's the sort of track. That's why he's always gone well at Coulter. Coulter's got 5 or 6 first gear corners, heavy braking, anti-clockwise. He dominates on them, doesn't he? The question is, is this the start? Is this the start where he can now win on tracks where the Ducati's not the best? Still, the Aprilia is the best bike. I don't think it didn't look like it could use its strengths around Balaton Park. We saw that again. We're lucky this year to have the Goldstein, Chaz Davis out on the track filming sections for us so we can overlay faster laps, and you can see exactly where a rider or manufacturer loses or gains. At Balaton, it's the first time we'd seen the Aprilia weaken a few sections. So, but the track we're going to next is essentially a mirror of Mugello. It really is fast flowing, change of directions. I think the positives for Mark are a few. 1, he's going to go there with a lot of confidence. 2, he's going there having had a week off as well. So time to build more strength in that shoulder. And 3, one of the beauties of Brno is it's so beautiful and flowing, but you've got some decent straights. They're not super long, but they're just long enough to be able to have a little relax. And there's not many places you can do that on a MotoGP bike. I know Mugello's got that long straight. It's got that one long straight, but it's very physical at the last part of it. Where Brno, it's not got one really long straight, but it's got 3 or 4 places he'll be able to just do a reset during the race and give him 1 second just to relax. So if he's going to do it anywhere on a flowing track, if he's going to make the difference, beating the Aprilias, that definitely looked like they turned better, I think Brno is going to be the one.
Yeah, more so than Assen, you think, coming up some of the fast
Exactly.
rights that you get at Assen, or the sequence of rights at the start of the lap. But I think you're right as well. Also, the drag up the hill, you wonder if that Ducati, is one thing it is.
It'd be good there,
shown that
won't
he
it?
can do.
Yeah.
Be good. Yeah, that's the thing. We used to call it Honda Horsepower Hill, didn't we? Because that it was, you needed to have a Honda to the drive up the hill. Yeah, Sylvain, we discussed it on this podcast. We discussed it on air. We didn't know if he was done. In fact, we've all talked about it. Here on the Gas It Out podcast, we have all said that might be it. That that unfortunately might be the demise. What a way to do it, though, battling the young upstart, the one who's supposed to be nicking your crown in the future, the one who's going to be your teammate next year. I know that Pedro's on an underpowered bike, and massive credit to Pedro for the work he's doing. As Neil said, the gap to the others is stark, the other KTMs. But for Marc, pardon the pun, it's a shot in the arm, isn't it? That he's able to come back after another surgery, to make another comeback, but do it by battling against Pedro.
Yeah, I mean, the story of Marc this year was that we weren't quite sure what was wrong. Do you remember the first few races? We knew that he wasn't 100% recovering from the shoulder and so on, but it started to feel like there was no progression anymore. And we got to Le Mans, and he was like, "Oh, he's on the back foot again, and he's behind the bike." And we were saying all these things. Do you remember? And so the fact that actually he needed a surgery and there was a problem with the screws and that piece of bone that was irritating his radial nerve and making him lose strength and feeling in his right arm. The fact that they pinpointed the reason why, and that he had the surgery and sorted it, and now he's recovering from it and he gets that win. I mean, everything adds up to the fact that he's now making progress and he's getting back to his proper level that he had last year when the injuries were finally left him. So yeah, I think he's going to be super strong from now on. This is going to give him a lot of confidence, and also this is now the Aprilia boys looking back, knowing that he's back and he's there. So it'll be really interesting to see how the Ducati package is going to go on those two next tracks. On paper, very much Aprilia tracks, fast and flowing, loads of tire wear as well in Brno. That new surface that they put last year is super abrasive. So tire wear is going to play a big role there. Can Ducati make that work? It's going to be really, really interesting now. We've definitely got a race for the title that is gone from 2 men to 3. He's in the fight. I mean, he's recovered 30 points this weekend on them. Okay, there was the incident, with Martin that took Bezzecchi out, but nevertheless, Marquez made that massive jump, and psychologically, they're gonna be feeling it. They're gonna be. It's different now, and they know how strong Marc is when he's at the top of his game. So yeah, if you are Bezzecchi or Martin, you're thinking, "Oh, no way, he's back and he's got his shoulder back. That surgery worked, and now he's gonna be hunting us, and he's gonna enjoy doing it as well." You just know it. You can see the grin behind
I'm going to say
the helmet.
he'll have a smile on his face. He'll be doing the dances in the garage, which it's all just is designed to do everyone's head in. It's just
100%.
We don't care.
He knows that they're all going to go to bed. They go to bed at night. They're going to go to bed thinking about him at night, thinking, tomorrow he's going to be on my case again.
Relentless.
And that's it. And that's what's happening now. So I'm looking forward to see it. They're going to fight back, but I'm looking forward to see it. And in Aprilia, obviously, they've got other issues as well they have to handle. I mean, there's mistakes that are being made. They're throwing away points. It's not great, and I'm sure we're going to discuss that now. But it's I mean, they have a lot of potential, but even this year so far, they've missed on opportunities. They got it wrong a few times already. So yeah, you can't just keep handling points like this to somebody like Marc Marquez, especially now that he's back on form.
If there was a world championship handed out on sprints, Marc Marquez would be leading it. And that could simply be a key in right there, just in that moment, the fact that, already he's got more sprint points than anyone else having.
But he shouldn't have.
No, he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have.
Think how this season's been. He has basically started with obviously coming back after the surgery, and then he's had that nerve issue. And he's been riding with one arm. How is that possible? Do you know what I mean, Lon? Incredible.
He's now on 180 points. No score on Sunday, just 7 on Saturday. Jorge Martin on 160 points. Fabio Di Gianantonio's there in third, 138 points, so 42 behind. With Acosta now at 48 behind after a good, solid weekend. 2 second places once more for him. But Marc Marquez moves above his teammate, moves above Ayagura, moves above Raul Fernandez, and he goes in to 5th in the championship, 72 points behind, and who knows what's going to happen over the next few races. When we come back from a little break now, we will, as Sylvain hinted at before, we'll be talking about Aprilia, the fallout from that crash, and as well about some of the other stars of the race, Pedro Acosta, Diogo Moreira, Jack Miller. Stick with us. Welcome back to Gas It Out. First of all, let's talk about Pedro Acosta, the job that he's doing on that KTM. As Neil mentioned before, over 20 seconds to the other KTM bikes. But if there is a track also that's going to suit Pedro, it's the hard braking, isn't it? The getting it stopped into somewhere like Balaton. Can he still build a title challenge, do you think, Neil, with performances like that?
No, which obviously sounds weird because he's just done 2 second places, but he's having to ride the absolute wheels off that bike. The bike's not capable of being in a title challenge. When you think of the quality of that Aprilia, and again, I'll mention the ghosting that we use on TNT Sports. We saw Pedro and Marc during the sprint race, mid-race. We analysed a few laps, and like I said, when you really put the ghost in, so you can see exactly where Pedro gains, my God, that man can stop a MotoGP bike. Like, he gets the bike stopped, he can brake later and hold a tighter line than anyone else. It's such a skill. And when we spoke to his crew chief, Paul, is it Treverton?
Yeah.
Treverton. Yeah, okay. Treverton, what a lovely man he is. I mean, he's turning into like one of the best guys to interview. Super articulate, obviously a very experienced guy, been around forever. But he's one of the rare people you speak to in the paddock, team manager or crew chief, that is really honest. Is quite clear.
Just tell you what's going on.
Tells you what's going on. They're dead simple. Yeah. Quite clear with his explanation. And he said, I asked him about when he looking at Pedro's data compared to the other KTM riders. What is his skill? And he said he can just get this, but he has the ability to get the bike stopped so well. Also, he's really good on the slippery tracks. Tight, twisty tracks is really good on, because that's what he does a lot when he's training, doesn't he, Gav? You've obviously been out to his place and seen his setup. So, but unfortunately, isn't it rubbish now? Me going, well, but he can't. I don't think he's got a title challenge in him because he's handcuffed. He's on that KTM, and at some tracks he won't be able to make the difference.
Have either of you ever been in the position where your kit that you've got is just not enough? You know you've got it. You've both obviously won world championships. Have you ever been in a position then where you've been on the other side, someone who's, you had a great Ducati as well at the time, you had when you were, but you must have been on the other side of it as well, where you haven't got the kit. And how does that feel, knowing I'm fighting, I'm able to battle? You can see that I have got the talent to be a world champion, and we're seeing that from Pedro. Have you been in that position? How does that feel?
Well, Sylvain's,
we almost.
Sylvain's,
we just keep blaming the bike, don't we?
Yeah, so. I'm seeing Sylvain laughing, but I know Sylvain's career and he knows mine. And the reality is, the majority of the time, you're probably not on the best bike. That's the truth. But what happens?
For us, that's probably true. Genuinely,
yeah. And what defines a rider's career? And I've had to take, because I won the world championship in 2003, and guess what? I was on a factory Ducati on Michelin tyres. I had the best bike, best team, and best tyres. I did. But what had happened in previous years, that had not been the case. I'd not been in the factory team. I'd not had the best opportunities. But what I did was I rode the wheels off what I had to get that one chance. And I knew it was my chance. And Sylvain, you were the same, weren't you? You had to work so hard to get on that factory Aprilia. And when you do get the opportunity, you have to not choke. You have to make the most of it. So we've both been in that situation, haven't we, Sylvain?
Yeah, I mean, you've got these two situations. You got, like, usually the best riders. I mean, the really, really top guys, they get the best rides, and that's usually what happens. So then they just keep winning. Very few people actually get a shot, on one of the best bikes or the best bike, and then all you have to do is beat your teammate. Well, it sounds easy, but it's like that. So yeah, when you haven't got the best bike, you just have to ride, do the best you can, and ride the wheels of it to try and deserve, to try and get that ride. And it's also a question of timing, because sometimes from year to year, the best bike changes, like for in
Yeah.
MotoGP for next year. We don't really know who's going to have the best bike, which manufacturer is
this
going to
year,
come out on top next year.
you didn't know Aprilia was going to be
Yeah,
the best bike, did we? No one really knew that.
No.
You know, Marco Bezzecchi was sent out from Ducati. The fact is, in this instance with Pedro Acosta, he's got himself the plum ride, as in he's got the move to Ducati for next year because he's proven on the underpowered bike, he has proven that he has the cherries to be able to go and
it's
do
funny
it.
now because the talent of Pedro Acosta, you like for example, last year he was crashing more. He was almost like trying too much. He was making more mistakes. Now that he knows that he's got the Ducati ride next year, he's riding perfectly. Like it's like he's not doing anything wrong with that KTM. He's not making any mistakes, and he gets the best out of it. I mean, how far is he in front of all the other KTM riders? It's unreal, really. And we take it for granted, but has he ever? I think there was a stat I saw somewhere. He's never ever been out qualified by his teammate ever.
No.
No, in
It's
something like
it's a
more than
joke,
50
really.
races, Sylvain. It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah.
That's like I've
It's
never heard a
crazy
stat
stat.
like that.
I know, yeah. So he's very exciting to watch. Very, very good. And even when he is, let's say, vulnerable with his package, you know, like we saw in the race on Sunday in Balaton, he's still gonna put a fight up. He's still gonna position himself to try and make the other guy work. And we're talking about going head to head with Marc Marquez, and he still managed to put a fight up for a couple of laps when he was probably down half a second a lap at that point. He had nothing left, nothing to to give.
Yeah, the tire had
and he
dropped,
still made it
hadn't
happen.
You could see the
Yeah,
soft.
yeah. Well, he
the
was on
soft-
soft free, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he couldn't get through the fast right, which was all traction, really. And Mark was
Yeah.
behind him, and that meant that he could set him up. But like you said, he still, there's like no quitting him. He forces the rider to have to work hard and keep thinking. It's brilliant.
Let's talk first corner incident, shall we? It's the huge talking point of the race. Jorge Martin getting it wrong down to turn one. There's fallout after it, but let's actually talk about the incident itself, what we think actually happened at that moment, because it was ugly. It was messy. Some riders came off badly. Raul Fernandez absolutely thrown out the front door, wasn't he? Face planted. It was like he'd been chucked out of a nightclub by a bouncer, the way that he was chucked down onto the ground. It was an ugly sequence, Neil. You mentioned it at the top of the program. First corner was resurfaced, had a bit of a slippery feel. You got offline. You know, it also was a problem getting it stopped. You mentioned it over the weekend after what happened on Saturday. It was like you knew what you're on about for once. And no, but you said, oh, it's going to happen. Something's going to happen down at turn one because trust me, it's going to happen.
Because nothing happened on Saturday. And I said, the problem is the way, and it's always been the same, a motorcycle racer's mind works. If you go into turn one and you try and be forceful, but you don't quite make it happen, and you come out and you get passed by someone, that night, you're so annoyed with yourself, you relive that moment and you think, right, tomorrow they're getting it. Tomorrow I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going in. I'm just going in more aggressive. And if you've got 50% of the field thinking that, going down to a really tight, slippy hairpin corner, you knew there were going to be carnage, and it was carnage. And you know, I've sort of got real mixed feelings about it because the aftermath of Martin taking out 5 riders is received quite a lot of hate, even off the team principal as well. Which
that's go on to that in a second, yeah. Which is fascinating.
I'll get to that in a minute, but like one of Martin's strong points all year is he's not been able to qualify well, but he's explosive first laps, his aggression. Think about how we applauded him in Le Mans. Qualified on the 3rd row, and did he lead it out of turn 3, or was he second? I can't quite remember, but
he went around the outside.
Round the outside, super aggressive, took a load of risk into a really tricky section, and it paid off. And in pretty much all the races this year, that's what he's done. And he sat on that line, knowing full well he'd gone for the soft rear slick, which was always going to be strong in the first part. He qualified, was he on 3rd row, Gav?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3rd row. He knew it was going to be difficult, short drag down to turn 1, and he did what we've seen him do all year. But unfortunately, on this track, with that weird slippy corner, the front locked under braking.
Is
I
that
mean, it
right?
doesn't help with
So
all the.
just quick, I want to
Yeah, go
go.
on.
I want to just drill down on that. The front locked. So obviously, we know with the ride out devices to disengage them, you really have to grab a handful of brake, don't you, to make sure
Yeah.
that they're going to disengage. I mean, frame by frame, when you look at it, how
He's
much of
releasing the
that
brake
is
though. When you look at frame by frame,
yeah.
he's hitting the brakes hard. I've looked at it this morning, like posing it and looking at it many times and zoomed in, and he's like, so he hits the brakes hard, and then he releases the brake and hits it again, and he does it 2 or 3 times. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is that the ride-out device did not disengage the front one. And if you realize that it's not disengaged, you have to go again and try to disengage it. So it could have been that. Or he's just disengaged it and he thought, as you do as on the start, you get a little bit greedy and you look at the other guys around you and you think, yeah, I'm releasing a bit. And then you grab it and you try and sort of sneak in the inside then. So, yeah, I mean, that crash it's awful, really.
But
I
the
mean,
front then locks for him,
and
doesn't it?
yeah, the front locks, and then that's what makes the bike like buck. So the front locks, he releases it, regains grip, relocks, and then he's completely out of shape, and then strike everybody else. Everybody else is down. So yeah, it's a mistake again. It's like what he did in Japan last year in Motegi, where he had that massive crash, took Bezzecchi out, broke his collarbone really badly. And yeah, to be honest, I thought the penalty was very light as well. Just a double long lap penalty. When you've done it already, I know it's not this year, it was last year, but it's a similar incident. Like taking people out at starts like that, this is so dangerous. We're so lucky that there's nobody with like a really serious injury. You can get run over, you can really hit somebody in the body, in the leg, or it can be horrendous. So we're very lucky there's no injuries, but this kind of situation we don't want them anymore. So they're going to have to do something about it. And if it's not harsher punishment, they need to take those ride out. I mean, we've been saying it for
they're going
years
to.
now,
I've got it on
they
good
need to.
authority. The front devices, will be going.
That will help massively, Gav.
in a couple of races time. Yeah. Just on this, do you agree, Neil? Do you agree that it was similar to Japan? I remember we talked about it quite a lot, didn't we, on Sunday? Like whether Japan was different. Massimo Rivola felt they were different. Felt that in Japan it was more out of control, like that kind of mistake. How do you feel compared to what Sylvain was just saying?
Weirdly, when you look at them, they look pretty much identical. Even the way the bike kicks, and it's like literally. I'd like to. It'd be funny if we should do that. Actually, we should get like a split screen. Well,
A split screen. Yeah.
We should do it for TNT. We'll do that. I'll mention that to Klim or someone. But what I was thinking, yeah, I think they look identical, but they are completely different crashes. I think in Japan, he'd qualified bad and he was trying to be aggressive and
into a gap, wasn't he?
I just felt like in Japan, he wasn't. All last year, Martin was not the Martin we know, and I think that was more of a mistake in Japan. I think this one, I will cut him a little bit of slack because he's offline, he's tight, and it was like sheet ice that first corner. And I know the argument could be, well, he knew that, and he did, but I'm going to defend him. It's not easy. It's not easy with those lowering devices when you're offline, when you've got essentially, if you don't make up ground on the first corner, if you don't pass a few riders, your race is done. So you are going to risk more. And it's almost...
There's the low tire pressure as well. They all start the main race with a really low front tire pressure. So at turn 1, at the start, the front tire pressure they build that up in the warm-up, in the grid lap, but it's still very low. So when you add it all up, Neil, it's true that it's very, very... it's sketchy. I mean, the starts are sketchy, and then you add a turn 1 that with a new tarmac, that is dirty in the inside and really, really slippy, and you just basically with every single reason that we've just given, you're increasing the risk of carnage.
Exactly.
You're
Increasing it. Yeah.
the risk is always there. It's a dangerous sport. We all know that, and we all know that. But you can sort of decrease or increase the odds. And with this track, this surface, you're increasing all the odds. The ride-out devices, you're just making it, really tricky for the riders. And you're making that, that limit between a hero, like he did in Le Mans, to 0, what he did this weekend, very tiny. It's not it's just a small mistake.
Massimo Rivola says a world champion should not be making mistakes like that. That is the director or principal of Aprilia Racing, about his rider that he's hoping to win the world championship, that he was defending a couple of weeks ago when he came around pushing people around the garage, including Massimo, including Paolo Bonora, after he was taken out himself, or in his eyes, not in Raul Fernandez's eyes, at Barcelona. What should we read into those comments from Massimo Rivola, who it felt like he agreed with Sylvain and didn't think the penalty was harsh enough? That was essentially what he was saying.
He said it.
He actually said, I'm surprised it's not more.
Yeah,
so
he said it word
what
for
do we
word.
make of Rivola's comments?
It's a big statement. I can't remember the last time I ever heard a team principal say those lines. I can't remember. Do you know what? The reality is this is Aprilia's year. They have built the best bike. Everything's been going perfect. 1 and 2 in the championship. Last year was last year with the Martin taking out Bezzecchi. That's in the past. And then, where was it? Oh, sorry, Catalonia. Then when Martin comes into the garage. Look, the reality is we can lie about it, or we can talk about the facts. And the facts are Martin tried to leave Aprilia last year. That was messy, really ugly. Tried to break his contract. It wasn't possible for him to break his contract. Aprilia held him to it, and he stuck with Aprilia. Then we have the fallout in Catalonia. We know Martin's leaving Aprilia at the end of the year. That's fact as well. He's going to Yamaha. So you can imagine now what they're feeling. It's almost like we've got to the point where you tried to leave us last year. You were really unprofessional a couple of rounds ago, and you are leaving us at the end of this year. You've a chance of winning the world title, and you've a chance of taking the number 1 plate to another manufacturer. You've just taken out our golden boy, but where all the pressure comes from, where all the stress comes from, the man who did the double, because they thought he was gone. And now you've absolutely shafted us all here. You've given him, the enemy, Marc, a chance to claw back massive points. We thought we'd broken the elastic. We thought he was gone. And now he's coming back and he's on his way. And that's where, in his interview, the anger, the way he spoke, it's an accumulation of all that. That's how I see it. And I loved it, actually, because he was quite passionate, wasn't he, about it?
Yeah,
and he's passionate, and he's quite fiery, isn't he? He's Massimo Rivola. He was fiery like that in Catalonia when there was the contact with Raul Fernandez. He went to see Davide Brivio, and they had a few words it was heated. So yeah, he's quite fiery. And I'll just add one thing. I thought it was everything you said, Neil, made so much sense. It's just all that build up, isn't it?
That build up,
yeah, giving those 30 points to Marc during the weekend. And they've been told after Barcelona, after Catalonia, after the incident, all the Aprilia riders before Mugello were put together, and they've basically been told, guys, come on, we've got a great chance here. We've got the best bike. Do not, whatever you do not take each other out. Never. This can never happen again.
Yeah.
And guess what? 2 races later, something like that happens. And he takes not only Bezzecchi, he takes Fernandez out as well.
The thing is, he gave that interview 1.5 hours after. It was after our program was off air, and Nat went to interview him, and there was this all rigmarole about when we were going to speak to him. It was 1.5 hours after the race, so he's had time to think about it, formulate it, plan his message. He said the same to us as he said to Sky Sport in Italy, as he said to DAZN in Spain. The same thing. A world champion shouldn't be making mistakes. I find it fascinating because last year, when, like Neil mentioned, he and wanted to leave, they built this family. We're a family. We come around, we cuddle each other, you know, we're all so close together. And again, when Martin's pushing Paulo Bonora, I love it. I love the passion, you know, and it's all this closing ranks. Suddenly, it's exactly as you mentioned. It's the fraying, it's the tension. That's the front, isn't it? That's the curtain almost in front of what's going on. But behind the scenes, there is tension, there is desperation. They know this could be their one chance. They've never won the MotoGP World Championship before. And someone like Marc Marquez, Ducati will prey on that. Little pointed comments as well, like Davide Tardozzi made to us about, oh, we love the number 37 today. Obviously, he knows Pedro's going there next year, but he meant the 37 points that Marc Marquez had collected throughout the weekend. And this is where it gets interesting. It's happened at Ducati. We've seen it last year, or we've seen it, the year before, where, you know, Martin was winning the championship and it should have been Bagnaia. You see that in these teams at the top level, they have this front, happy, smiling, we love our guys. You know at the moment that at Ducati, between Pecco Bagnaia and the management, it's frosty. It really is. However much he's won 2 titles, you see it. You see their relationship is frosty. And this is going on at the moment in Aprilia because they know that they have this opportunity to win the championship. And that's the first crack, the first signs that they are holding things together by very fine threads. And they can be snapped if the pressure starts to ramp up. And that's why when we go to the Czech Republic, there is ultimate pressure on Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin to deliver. And if he messes it up in the sprint, if he messes it up in qualifying, these kind of things, then we really do have a championship, because 72 points is a huge margin still over Marc Marquez. Let's not forget. It's fascinating. Let's take another break from it. And when we come back, let's talk about some of the other stars, shall we say, from Balaton. And we'll talk about Moto3 and Moto2 as well.
See if I can compare them.
Jesus, that's huge.
Like bingo.
Welcome back to the final part. You've just caught us measuring Sylvain's arms on the video version.
Go on, show us, Sylvain. Show us.
I'm just thinking for the audio people, they'll think we were showing something else then that's swollen.
For the first time in my life, I got some guns, but it's just bruising.
Yeah, but you're left-handed, aren't you? You've been away from home for quite some time.
This one is this one is the
look at the
normal
little
one,
skid. Look
and
at
then that one. That one is
your forearm's bigger.
Yeah,
I know.
Anyway,
terrible.
Final part.
Have you spent a lot of time in your hotel room, Sylvain?
Really punishing himself after the racing at the weekend.
We're 12 years old, aren't we? Never changes.
Yeah. Can we just talk about
there's not much to do in Belgium, is it? Bad weather and so on. Yeah.
Talk about some of the other people
go on, Gav.
with some credit from the Hungarian Grand Prix. There was a good battle, wasn't there, going on for the positions behind the leaders. Jack Miller, we have to talk about him coming through, was riding a lot, was holding on as much as he could to that 4th spot. Couldn't do it in the end. Diogo Moreira as well coming through into 6th place. Luca Marini having a first top 5 for quite a while on that Honda. Equal best result actually for him in a main race. So there were some people who came out with a little bit of credit, despite the fact that obviously we know a few riders were taken out at the start.
Yeah, but what about Lecuona as well?
Yeah.
I mean, Iker Lecuona
did amazing.
Do you know what made me laugh? Alex Lowe's cracks me up because he's so right. So Alex Lowe's texted me after the race and he said, imagine what Top Rack's thinking right now after the race. Lecuona absolutely destroyed Top Rack. And he said, round there last year, Lecuona was obviously racing World Superbikes against Top Rack, and he was not in the same half lap. Lecuona was on the factory Honda, as we know. Top Rack was on the factory BMW, and Top Rack, that was one of those rounds where he just could walk on water, absolutely destroyed. Literally, he was probably 25 seconds in front of Lecuona. And in Lecuona's standing ride, first ride, no testing, beats Top Rack quite comfortably, I think. So, and Alex just went, isn't motorcycle racing weird sometimes? And it's literally what you were saying earlier, Gav. Literally, the question you asked earlier about, have you ever been on like teams where it's not been quite the best bike or team? that's the reality of the sport, isn't it? But what a contrast. But I thought Lecuona was outstanding. He was fast all weekend, every session. Didn't look too dangerous because he's been known, he's got a bit of a reputation for being a little bit dangerous, hasn't he? But looked fully in control. And I look forward to him riding again. I'm hoping Alex Marquez doesn't come back too soon for his sake, obviously.
Yeah.
With that breaking bones in his neck, he's obviously far from ideal. So, looking forward to seeing him in Brno. But yeah, also Jack Miller was amazing. It was a skillful ride of a rider, again, overriding, getting more out of his bike, out of his package than he's expected. So good for him, because he's going through a difficult time, Jack, isn't he? You were talking to him, weren't you, Gav? It's a tough period for him.
And I've seen it reported about the way that I said it wasn't quite. Anyway, that's another matter of it. But
I hate that.
You know,
have you been clipped up? And
I actually spoke to him, and all that Jack was saying to me was basically he's at the bottom of the pile. He knows he is at Yamaha, so he's got one bike. Well, none of the bikes are moving, but one of them's even older still that he's got, the two packages. So one of them's almost a pointless bike to be on, you know. And that it's tough at Yamaha, essentially it is. But he's trying to put as much of a positive spin on it, and he doesn't feel like that's being recognised effectively. You know, that actually when you've got people, actually Toprak, you have to say, is being very calm about it. He knows there's a long game. But Rins is making his comments. Quartararo had another weekend. He's pulled in, said that, you know, he's got problems with the front. And he did run off these two shortcuts at turn 9 and 10, which is, you know, we've seen that happen a lot. But he got along that penalty, eventually did another one, was struggling with the front. But that's 2 races in a row now where Fabio's phoning it in is perhaps a bit of a strong statement. But, you know, Jack, I think just Jack showed.
You've got to remember there's 14 rounds to go. It's 28 races to go. Yeah. It's going to be this period together, now. Yeah, you've got to keep your head together. Time.
Yeah, you gotta stay solid now, because there's still such a long way to go, and it's not just, you know, not enjoying the week. It's not enjoying on the bike. You're gonna spend, you know, most of the year with the same group of people that are around you, and that ultimately want to, you know, give their best and so on. So if you don't keep it together now, that could be a, you know, really, really long season. And Jack always has a positive, you know, always, even though he knows that he's not going to carry on there, he's always putting a positive spin. So for him to do a performance like this, I mean, he was absolutely brilliant this weekend, wasn't he? So it was good.
And Moreira
as well. I was just going to say about Jack, you know, when you're a bit in the ropes like this, sometimes it can help bring the best out of you, and you have to try and use that as well, because at the end of the day, maybe his adventure with Yamaha is going to end this year in MotoGP anyway, but maybe there'll be other opportunities that, you know, having you trying to use that energy. That's what you said, Neil, keeping your head together and finding motivation. Well, even in the worst of situation, you always have to try to try and keep motivated. Hey, at the end of the day, you know, sometimes you're just a bit in the ropes like that. It's life, isn't it? You have to try and bounce back. Sometimes, you know, life throws difficult situations, or you haven't got the best bike or whatever. Well, make the most of it and try and bounce back and get a better ride next year. And Jack has got that positive attitude in him. He always had. And it's great that, you know, that he can sort of lift his head up and go into Brno with his chin up, saying, well, I've given my best there. I got a result. And I'm still, I was the leader this weekend, so yeah, good for him. Just a quick one as well on Lecuona. I mean, Lecuona jumping on the bike, no testing, Michelin tires, MotoGP bikes. I know he's ridden MotoGP before, but things have moved on since. Ride-out devices, quirky track. He knows the track, but adapting to the Michelin and being that good. I mean, that was, for me, that was unreal. I thought, what are you doing? I was watching the first session, and was it P12, like straight away?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, about 0.6 off, Sylvain. Like nothing, you know, like right there.
Yeah. And you, it was at the time where you were in commentary, Neil, and you were saying about Cal, you know, that story about Cal, or how is he going to do? Well, he's going to be last, because who are you going to be in front of? You know, and that's the reality of things. That's not a bad thing to say
No
about
shade.
Kyle. He's just coming back and he's going to be last. That's just the thing. But then, and then as you were saying that, I was looking at Lecuona in P12 and I was looking at who is behind you. Well, behind him, obviously, you got your Pecco Bagnaia. You have half the grid. So I was thinking, how the hell are you doing this? This was a performance by Lecuona. Wow, did he turn up? So I hope he gets not I hope that Alex Marquez is going to take a long time to recover, but if he does, which I think is the sensible thing to do, probably to start maybe after the summer break. Lecuona, could it'd be good to see him, building on that performance because that was very impressive. Yeah.
Just a quick word. Running out of time on this, but just a quick word on Moreira as well. Neil Marini.
Moreira's just turning into the Honda's number one rider, isn't he? Obviously, Zarco's out and he's going to be out probably for the rest of the year, unfortunately. And Mia the only time we see him is when he's sliding into the gravel. We got to his usual point where he's going to crash. It's about half race distance, which I never understand because usually by then you've got a lot of feel, you know exactly where the limit is, and down he goes. Marini is like one of his favourite tracks, was solid, but Moreira is just a class act, isn't he? He had an issue with his lowering device. He didn't manage to disengage his front lowering device until turn 5 because he didn't disengage it. I think because of what had been going on in front of him with that crash. I don't know, but so he's the last 2 rounds. Diogo Moreira has looked unreal.
And again, Iagura, fantastic, wasn't it? Who said you couldn't pass at Balaton? I think he got through about 8 or 9 riders, didn't he?
11th to 5th, was it, or something
fourth
like
in the
that?
Fourth, yeah.
Was he 4th?
Yeah.
He's had a few 4ths this year, hasn't he? I mean,
actually, do you know who else? We haven't mentioned, just really quick, Sylvain Bagnaia, another podium from him. I mean, it's not.
That was
not the worst compared to where we were last year.
Yeah, 3 on the bounce.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's after Mugello, because Mugello, the performance of Bagnaia in Mugello was pretty special. So he's confirming that he's back. So I mean. Yeah, he's still a bit obviously that weekend in Balaton in the shadow of Marc, but a strong result for Pecco. Hey, it'd be good to have him in the mix as well. Having him back in there with all the Aprilia boys and that for the rest of season. So hopefully that that can carry on.
Especially if they want a title battle, you might have 2 of them coming at you. Let's see. They'll be playing Assen. He'll go well. Someone like that. He absolutely loves the Assen circuit, doesn't he? Can we move just really quickly before we finish? And if you do have any questions, any comments at Gas It Out Pod, remember on Instagram or go to our YouTube page and send us a message there. I'm going to set up a mailbox very soon, so you can send us emails as well, maybe even a WhatsApp. Could do that. Just hand out Neil's number.
Whoa.
Moto2. Manuel Gonzalez. 3 on the spin. There is someone brimming with confidence.
Yeah, 3 complete different wins, 3 complete different tracks. Dominated all weekend. Now he's like he stalks his prey. He sits there. He doesn't panic. Pounces when he knows the timing's right. Doesn't look fast. Doesn't put a wheel wrong. Unreal. I mean, whatever happened in Barcelona with that victory and those celebrations and the tears when he couldn't stop crying, that release of emotion, it has unlocked the bit that I always talk about, Gav. It's that last 0.1%. If you can unlock it, then you can become a world champion. Not a lot of riders get the chance to unlock it or haven't got the ability to do that. But Gonzalez, I would sign him up tomorrow if I was a MotoGP team manager. I think he's outstanding.
I've got drilling going on behind me as we move. Just on Moto3, Sylvain. Similarly, Max Quiles not having a great Mugello, but wow, did he show just what he's capable of. Again, stalking David Almanza and dominated to the end. That was a bit of anger went into that performance, didn't it?
Yeah, he had. I think he had revenge in mind after Mugello. Thing is, in Mugello, it is a particular race, the Moto3 race, because there's so much slipstream going on, groups, positioning, sometimes a bit of luck as well. You got to be at the right time, at the right place, or somebody dives bomb you and you lose a lot of time, and and that's your chances of podium gone. So you could see after Mugello, he was like, there was like rage in his eyes, wasn't it? He was not happy at all, and came back in Balaton with revenge and vengeance. So he did he did well. He did a Massimo Achilles, didn't he? He destroyed them again. So just absolute destruction. It looks like he's on another level on tracks like that. So I mean,
another quick word.
This is year, isn't it?
I just want to have a really quick word on.
Are you in the
David
dentist,
Munoz.
Gav? Are you in the dentist?
I do apologise.
I
do apologise for those listening.
High-pitched drilling.
Yeah, they're fixing my house.
What does my head in about you, Gav, is you've only got a swimming pool, but you had to have that jacuzzi and sauna fitted, didn't you? You always had it.
Absolutely.
It's never enough, is it? Mr. 11 Reef himself.
Yeah,
so annoying.
It's just going to be size of a bathtub, just in the front, filled with muddy water. No, David Munoz, he's broken his pelvis.
Yeah, horrible crash. I've watched it back now, and it's one of those that obviously when it happened, you don't want to ever see that crash again. Once you know everyone's all right, you want to see exactly what happened. Obviously, when I watched it live, I thought, what's he doing? Oh, he's down. It was all David's fault. It was too much, too aggressive. You know, when you're behind someone so close, when you come out of a corner and you are essentially touching the rider's rear wheel in front, at that point, if he moves, you lose the front on a straight, and it's exactly what happened. It was all his own doing. He rides like a man who's never crashed a motorcycle. Do you know when you see I always say this. Do you know when you see a guy on a sports bike with a pair of shorts on or a pair of jeans? I always go, spot the man who's never crashed a bike. Munoz rides a motorcycle like it doesn't hurt if you make a mistake. We're talking about a man who got run over a year ago and broke his femur and has had obviously complications with that. It's like, I don't think he's got a good memory. He's clearly forgotten all about that because it was all his own doing, Gav. I'm not beating up a man who's obviously clearly severely beaten up, but I thought he'd improve that area of his game. But do you know what I think the issue is? I'm convinced of this, right? He's battling with a load of younger Spaniards now. He's become not the veteran, but he's 2 or 3 years older than the lads he's racing with. And he knows he has to beat all them to get a chance in Moto2, to get a good seat. And it's like he's not prepared to let them beat him. But sometimes on the last lap, yes, you can only ride 100%. As soon as you go to 101, you're probably going to go down. And I felt like it just felt like the red mist descended on that last lap. And it was just silly what he did. And unfortunately, he's having to pay the price.
Do you know he reminds me of a little bit? Jorge Navarro. Like all the talent in the world, too many crashes, and his career never quite going to that next level, even though you should be able to do it.
Weirdly, similar sort of characters when you see him in the paddock.
That's what I mean.
Like
So
these really intense individuals look like they're not enjoying it. They're here to do a job, but you half a step back, Gav. It's one of them. Just you need to look at the picture. If I was his manager, I'd be whilst he's sat with a broken pelvis, we'd be watching it through, going, "What did you think was going to happen?" I know it sounds harsh,
absolutely.
but
no, it's right. It's right. Do you have anything else to add, boys, before we say goodbye? It looks like it feels like I've got a few patients waiting for their crowns and fillings.
How good, without trying to create drama, how good is Bruno going to be? With everything we've just talked about, it's building. It can go obviously one way or the other. Also, the hotel's really good, and they've got loads of really good breweries around there. So it's a right good weekend. I can't wait.
But we don't drink.
No. Not when we're working. No.
Not at all. Sylvain will be having on the paracetamol over the weekend by the looks of things, by the looks of that arm and the ankles. So
hey, I'm off to Misano this weekend, boys.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
I'm going to the dark. I'm going to the dark side.
Oh, it'd be interesting to see what goes on there then, especially with the quota fired up.
going over to the World Superbikes with Alex Lowe's. Really looking forward to that. So I will. I'll report back.
We'll be able to report back then in next week's Gas It Out. We will be back as always, as we say every single week. We do love to hear from you. So contact us on Gas It Out.
We'll do a questions and answers pod at some point.
Yeah,
I just feel like, Gav,
why don't we have some questions next?
I feel like you're ignoring people, Gav.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I
Me and Sylvain, what do we say,
be
Sylvain?
across it
Oh,
all.
it'd be nice to do a question and answers one. And you were like, I don't like answering those rubbish questions. You know, you're really horrible. And me and Sylvain go, no, there's some great questions.
Yeah, we love it. We love the questions from people. Yeah, there's loads of really good questions.
Yeah, there are. There are actually. There are. But when I
get over yourself, Gav.
You just say,
it don't always have to be you, Gav, asking the questions.
Not the little man. You've got to think of the little man. When I put these questions, you go, oh, what an idiot asking that. You're not an idiot. I'm telling the fans at home, you're not idiots. We value.
You can't turn this round, Gav.
Enormously.
Why are you talking about your little man as well? That's gone weird. It's just weird.
I didn't say tiny.
Okay.
Righto, boys. Thank you very much. Cheers, Neil. Have a good weekend in Misano.
Gav.
Wait a second. Sylvain.
I love you.
Sylvain, get well soon.
Yeah, get well soon, Sylvain.
We need to say goodbye.
I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
See you guys. Have a good one in Misano, Neil.
Yeah, enjoy. And for everyone else, get in touch with us at Gas It Out Pod.
Hey, hang on. Though, if in doubt, gas it out.
So unfair.
Yeah, can we do that? Should we do it together?
I'd like to hear you try.
If in doubt,
gas it out.
If in doubt, gas it out. That was terrible. There's a delay, isn't it?
It's awful.
Anyway.
See you later.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.
Laters.
Love you. Bye.